guys, welcome back to week 5 of Better Drums, the 10-week Church Drummer Challenge, quarantine edition. Hopefully, the internet cooperates. Now restarted the router. Thank you, Jay, for the heads up on the audio quality there. Internet is a bit of a challenge many times nowadays. I don't probably need to tell any of you that. So we're working through this book. This is the free ebook. You can download it at my website. And we're into week 5, which is the same as chapter 5. So as we've moved along, we've been through quarter notes, eighth notes, 16th notes, broken 16th notes, and now we're to triplets. So the idea with a triplet is we're going to take the quarter note and divide it into 3 equal parts. The way that I usually count it, and there are some different ways to count it, but many people count it this way as well. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. And so let's just go ahead and put that on the snare drum now quick. So if this is the time, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1. Now the sticking, this is just a subdivision. So for the sticking, you can explore different stickings that you know and like to play. One sticking that could work is right, left, left. And so that keeps it always where the right is on the beat. So that would be this. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1. Once you kind of have a decent grasp of the triplets, then you want to work through how do I get triplets to work with other subdivisions? Because many times when we play them as fill-ins, especially in the context of a church drummer, we're going to jump into the triplets for just a while, maybe a beat or two. But what surrounds the triplet is the 16th notes, 8th notes, or 32nd notes, or things like that. So we have to be able to get from, different subdivisions. So there's some exercises in the book, and this is one. Notice the speaker icon there. So in the book, if you download that, you can hit the audio there, and you'll hear me play the example. But with the quarter note on the hi-hat again, it would be 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 triplet, 2 triplet. All right? And so it's good to be able to feel how that moves, work on it with a metronome. So one of the things that we've been doing in the effort to the goal was to get everybody reading here. So in the goal to get everybody reading is we're putting things in the context of a snare drum piece, a simple rhythm piece essentially here. And so here you can see quarter notes, eighth note triplets, and some rests. And so we're going to try to play this. And then in the book, it's actually a little bit longer than this, but you can try to work through this now with me. So whether you do it, just use your hands on your legs, or if you got a pair of sticks by you, pull out your sticks now, and let's go ahead and let's try this together. I'm going to give a 4 count here on the hi-hat, and then we're going to play down these rhythms, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you got through that pretty nice, congratulations. You are reading quite nicely. Last week we worked on sight reading, so now we've got new rhythms as we move past sight reading. The other thing that we're dealing with here is now the dotted figure. So a dot, as you can see on the bottom line there, simply will cause something to be 50% longer than it was. So an eighth note is the equivalent of 2 16th notes. So now the value becomes 3 16th notes. And you can see below it there, I give you the rhythm anyway. 1E, 2E, 3E, 4E. 1E, 2E, 3E, 4E. Now if we put that on the snare drum, it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. The interesting thing here for drummers many times is it sounds the same on the snare drum. A whole note, a half note, a quarter note, they all sound the same. They sound... So there's no duration. But if I was a player who had duration, for example, a piano or guitar or something like that, it would be da-da, da-da, da-da. That's the top line. The second line would be da-da, da-da, da-da. So it would have this duration, which with the snare drum especially, we just don't get that. So the dotted note, as we move on from that then, you'll see that we're going to try to apply these new reading figures that we got, the triplet, and some of these dotted figures or broken 16ths continued to fill-ins. So here you go with a fill-in, and in this particular fill-in, you'll see that we have 16th notes, 8th notes, and then we go into the triplet. This is quite common in church drummer applications or in church music, worship music applications. So I'll go ahead and play this for you. Okay, so you see how when you jump into that triplet subdivision, it pulls the time. Sometimes it's just what a song needs. If you overuse it, um, it's not a good thing. So put it in just the right place, and it'll be great. And so here's an idea using some of those figures now that we just learned today with the dot or with these types of broken sixteenths only using two. And so this one with the offbeats, the E and the and the E and will sound more funky. So okay, so you can see how those types of rhythms or those types of figures, as you get more into them, that's going to lead to funkier, more syncopated, or more off the beat types of figures many times. So hopefully you'll find that interesting and helpful. This week we'll also look at fill-ins and how to develop fill-ins. So here is a fill-in from Your Love Never Fails. This is Jesus Culture. And the fill-in, if you play it, sounds like this. All right, so that's the fill-in. So one thing that I like to do is if I hear a fill-in that I like, try to copy it note for note, but then try to see how can I develop it or change it to get more mileage out of it or to get more uses out of it. And so one way that we can develop it, and in this chapter you're actually going to go through, I don't know, 12, 13, 14 different ways, but one way to develop it is to keep the rhythm, keep some aspects of it, but then change other ones. So here you'll notice that those last flams on the snare are simply changing to flams on the toms. Okay, so I've got my rack tom and floor tom up on the Roland here. And so that would sound like this. Okay, and so it doesn't sound like the original anymore. It's starting to become unique, even though essentially it's identical still. Here's another one where instead of playing it as a flam, we'll split the flam into two parts. So in this case, the snare and the floor tom. So here's my floor tom. So snare. So you've got that. And that rhythm would sound like this. All right, so again, it's changed quite a bit because now the flams aren't even there, but essentially it's the same rhythm. So once I learn the rhythm and I'm comfortable with the rhythm, getting more ideas from the rhythm should be easy, and it should be something I'm comfortable with. What happens with a lot of students is that they'll learn these fill-ins that are hard, and then every time when they try to play them, they mess them up. So take fill-ins that you're comfortable with and try to find ways to move them around, and that'll really increase your vocabulary much quicker than learning one fill-in at a time. You know, so I'm learning one idea and I'm getting 20 variations from it instead of learning one idea and getting one application for it. So here's another one where we sub the hand for the foot, or so we're moving things around or changing them around. And this sounds like this. All right, that's already starting to sound quite different than the original. And then another one is to take an idea that was there and then add something to it. So in this case, we're putting 16th notes on the last two beats there. So this one sounds like this. All right, so you can tell that, yeah, that one really starting to sound different. Then we're working on building the beat in a new way. So in week 1, we worked on some simple eighth note and quarter note driven grooves. And so here we have What a Beautiful Name. But instead of just playing it as eighth notes on the hi-hat or eighth notes on the ride, now it's eighth notes on the ride with a stepped hi-hat pattern. So step where you play it with your left foot. You know, most drummers' mortal enemy is our left foot. The lazy left foot that doesn't want to cooperate with doing the things that we want to do in the moment, so we can develop them. And these types of ideas are great for that. Take any groove that you already play well, so the coordination in the right hand, left hand, and right foot are already happening, and then you throw in the left foot so you can focus on that and hopefully get the whole idea working. So the ostinato sounds like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right, so now if I work through that with this groove here, check it out. 1, 2, 3, here we go. And don't be surprised if adding the left throws a lot of things off, because many times that one change can really just kind of, you know, throw things for a loop. And so then there's another one from that first chapter, which, you know, is about 5 weeks, not quite 5 weeks, maybe 4 weeks ago that we worked on it. And so hopefully you're comfortable with these grooves, and then we'll try it now with the Holy Spirit groove. All right, and that sounds like this. Okay, So then we go into these types of ideas where we're building these double stops where you, and it's going to go through different variations in the foot, quarter notes, eighth notes, and 16th notes. And so in the book, it many times will jump or give you the option to click on a video that's inside the book so you can hear me play examples. So I'm actually going to just play you some videos for that content so you get an idea of building up the double stops, which is very common in modern worship music. So check out the video. So hopefully that came out okay. So when we get past that, the new rudiment for this week is going to be the flam. So we've been through the single stroke roll, double stroke roll, single, double, triple paradiddles, and now we got the flam. So the idea with a flam, and the book goes into more detail, is one stroke is going to be higher, and there's a grace note, a note that comes before the primary note. Really, the easiest way to do this is have one stick higher than the other. You drop them at the same time, and they'll arrive at different times on the snare drum. So it sounds like this. And so that's a flam. Now, there are different variations of the flam you'll learn in this chapter, like a right-hand flam, left-hand flam, and hand-to-hand flam, but you can check those out. And then we're going to work on developing the hand-foot patterns that we've been working on. So here we have the hand-foot patterns that start with the snare. And of course, in this chapter, we'll also deal with the ones that start with the bass drum first. But this particular one would sound like this. And the great thing about being able to link these now, because we've worked on them on their own, we've worked on them doubling them, but being able to link them like this will give you great ability to use them in fill-ins. You know, you can jump from one idea to the other. You're not stuck playing one type of an idea for the entire fill-in, say 4 beats or 2 beats or however long that is. So if we put it with time, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then you would go through and you could repeat that. You could try to play this for 5 minutes straight or something like that. And in so doing, you would get a stamina exercise or workout for that, in addition to, just learning some hand-foot patterns, so you can build off of that. And then we're going to end off this week with chart reading. And so just to get started with chart reading, I'm just going to share with you something that I've been doing for, I don't know, like 20-something years now. This has been my way of charting things very simply. Apologies for the handwriting. That is what my handwriting looks like. I probably should have been a doctor or something. Anyway, what you'll notice here then is there's a simple groove on the side, and then there's something that tells me about the section of the song. So intro, verse 1, and chorus 1. So this is just a small part of this particular chart example in the book. So check out the chapter in the book. But you'll notice, like on the intro, I put 4 and 4. And the reason I do that is that I know I shouldn't play a fill-in except for when a number count breaks. So on that verse 1, my job as the drummer there is to not play a fill-in for 8 bars straight. But on the intro, I will play a fill-in after 4 bars. And the reason I do this is the tendency of many drummers is that we probably play more fill-ins than we should. And if you listen to the examples that are on the recording, where people spend tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars, the drummer plays controlled. So shouldn't we also play controlled then and have that discipline to play it correctly because somebody put in a lot of time and effort because that's how they thought it was best, or that's how to honor the track, if you want to call it that. And so the reason I chart like this is many times you might say you get a call in a professional situation to play in 2 days, or let's say that you're going to be playing a new song or 2 new songs in church. You can make a chart like this in the amount of time it takes you to listen. So as you're listening to the song, you make your simple chart. And so after the song is done, 3 or 5 minutes, you already have your guide. And this guide will then help you as a tool to learn the music. And many times you might not play it again, but in the context of church, you would. And so in this case, you would keep your chart And it would be something that you could go back to whenever, maybe it might be 3 months before they call out that song again. You could easily go back, listen to the chart, and check that out. So in the book, there's a link to a minus drums, actually multiple minus drum tracks from Gloryfall. And so this one, I'm going to play this for you now and play a bit of this chart, and you can download this for free through the link in the book. But here's what it sounds like reading this chart. All right.
Ako'y iyong nahanap, naging bulag, pinagaling, makasalanan, ngunit minahal pa rin ang iyong dugo, nagpalaya sa'kin. Ako'y
I just realized that that track there was the Tagalog version for I Cry Jesus, which is why the intro was only 4 bars instead of 8. So that's the discrepancy there. So do check that out. Download the minus drums. Have fun playing the music with it. I hope you have a great time with this week, week 5. Keep on drumming. God bless you.